Hello, happy Friday. Whew, I've had such a lovely week, And I had I had a weird moment, right, where I caught myself being a judgmental cow. I caught myself being awful, which has made me focus on judgment. So today I want to think about judgment. I'm thinking about judgment, about stereotypes and, how we judge. And I'm super judgmental. Now, I actually like the fact that I'm judgmental because I think it's useful. So people often talk about people being judgmental as it's a negative thing. And obviously it's not nice to be judged and to be judgmental. But I do believe it can have some merits, just so you know. So I think it's useful. I think one of the reasons I judge is to triage people. So when I work with a lot of people, I read people pretty quickly and decide what I can help them with and what I can't. Like in large rooms and things. So I think that's where I picked that up. And it's probably from years ago when I used to run these massive styling events and I used to have queues and queues and queues of women, and I had to really quickly sort of discern where they should be, as in which service they needed, what help they needed. So it was like, yep, no, go, And so being judgmental is something I've kind of always been, but I've been thinking, and then I had the most amazing conference I was speaking at yesterday, which was 600 accountants, and it was unbelievable. And, that stereotypical, accountants are boring, accountants are no fun. I'm like, it's just not true. Just not true. I was in a room full of fucking fantastic people. And one of the greatest things of my job is that I get to investigate industries. So I take my job quite seriously. So I'm like, right, I'm going to learn about accountants. Like, what do accountants do? What are the problems accountants are dealing with? Like so I really dive into the specifics of an industry before I speak at them. And what are the problems in the room and what do they need help with? And what are the messages that I've got that would be most relevant for them, right? So, and I get to go inside these events and it's really fun. And like, there's that whole stereotype of, real estate agents, they're all dodgy. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Different industries get a really bad rap. Like it's like accountants are boring or even, I don't know, blondes are dumb. Like there's so many judgments and stereotypes out there based on how you look or who you are, and people treating you badly, because of that, which I just found that really interesting. So I was preparing for the conference and I was thinking about accountants and how a lot of accountants I know are fucking cool, right? So I've got a brother-in-law, a sister-in-law, and a brother who are all accountants, and they're all cool. And none of them are actually working as accountants, but they're all trained as chartered accountants. And anyway, my accountant's cool. So, there's lots of cool accountants. There's enough cool accountants in the world for me to know that stereotype is not true. And I think it's just people making weird judgments. Anyway, so I was thinking a lot about that. And then I went out for breakfast. I was in Auckland. I was staying at a very nice hotel. It's a very nice hotel, but let me just preface this by saying this service is shit. So I went down for breakfast, and the guy said to me, so when I work, I often will have a quiet morning because I'm working in the evening. And so I wanted to know when was the latest time for breakfast. So when I checked in, I said, what time is breakfast? And they said, it's 6:30 to 10:30. I said, sweet. No problem. I don't normally stay at this hotel, so I had to find out the information. Anyway, so I get in there and I went in there at 10:10 and said, morning. And it was really quiet. And this guy just looked at me and I said, good morning. And he kind of didn't reply. And then I said, I'm just here for breakfast. And he went, and then looked at his watch. And I wanted to go, really, bitch? What the fuck? What is... You call that service? Like, oh my God. Anyway, I thought, no, I didn't want to upset my mood. And I thought, no, I'm not going to unleash on you. I thought, okay, well, you might be having a bad morning. I'll just go and sit down. So I went and sat down. And then this young waitress came out. And I said, can I have a long black, please? And she went, what? And I said, a long black. A coffee? Can I order a coffee? And she just stared at me. And then she went black. And I was like... And clearly English was her second language, right? And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And anyone who has English as a second language, or anyone who speaks multiple languages, I'm in awe of, right? I'm in awe because I have been trying to learn Te Reo Māori and oh my God, like I can't get my head around it. I can't get my tongue around it. I mean, I can get, but it's really, really, really challenging. So people who can speak more than one language just blow my mind, like blow my mind. And I've got gorgeous people in the Philippines I've had the pleasure of working with, and they'll often apologize for maybe getting language wrong. And I'm like, are you joking? Fuck, you read and write in a completely different language than your native. Like, it's mind-blowing. Like, I think it's mind-blowing. So anyway, this girl really didn't understand anything I was saying, and I was about to lose my shit because I was uncaffeinated for a start. I was uncaffeinated. I was hungry. I'd been up writing a presentation quite early. So I'd been up a long time. I was hungry. I was pre-coffee and she couldn't fucking sort it out. And then the man was already being rude to me, right? So I'm trying to build a picture here. So I was getting a bit grumpy. And then I suddenly went, hang on. In 3 days' time, I'm going to be in China where no one understands me. And I'm fine with that. So why am I losing my shit? Because the woman in front of me isn't understanding me. And then I was like, oh my God, am I in this whole, you're in my country, speak my language. Like, then I was really kind of like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so pissed off with this poor young woman who's trying her best? Anyway, so I had to tell myself off and go, fucking hell. So then I thought, right, so I was very, very generous and very kind and started talking to her about what I wanted, and we laughed, and she was like, and then when I left, she was like, oh, thank you so much, because I was generous and patient and kind because she was struggling to understand me. And yeah, it was just a really interesting moment where I went, oh my God, Lisa, you were being a real bitch, and you were basically growling at like shitty with this woman because she couldn't speak your language. And I know that New Zealand is an English-speaking country, but, have some fucking patience. So anyway, the poor girl was working and turned out she was lovely. She just really had a massive language barrier and didn't understand. And I was like, so when I'm overseas, I don't expect people to speak English, but when I'm in New Zealand, I do. What's that about? Where does that come from? So anyway, this is what I do. You see, I go down these rabbit holes of like, what the fuck? And I think about that. And I think, being judged, I'm pretty privileged being a white New Zealander. I've never really had a huge amount of judgment. Well, no, obviously I have because I'm blonde. Fuck, people are like, oh, you're a bit thick. I get that all the time. I've always had big tits and a big ass, so people thought, oh, well, you're not clever, whatever. So there's all those sorts of judgments that go on. But I remember years ago we went on, Mark and I went on holiday to Samoa, and we went with some beautiful friends of ours who are a gay couple, and we were at this resort and we had the best time. We had the best time, like really awesome holiday. And it was quite a small resort, and there were lots of little families and stuff there. And we'd sit at night and try and work out. And there was one family, and every morning I'd say morning, and they'd just look away. And I was like, oh, fuck, they're a bit grumpy. Huh? They were American. Anyway, and every time I would go up to like the buffet and I'd say, hi, how's your day going? Or, oh, that's a lot of pineapple, or fucking, I don't know, something. Nothing. And then it became a game. I was like, fuck you, you're going to talk to me. I'm going to make you talk to me. And the second day we were there, one of the couple is my hairdresser, and I'd asked him to bring his scissors because I'd been working everywhere and I hadn't had time to have a haircut. So he's standing out on the beach cutting my hair. I'm sitting in a chair outside their little fale, and he's wearing these tiny little Speedos with a little hairdressing belt with his scissors, cutting my hair. And this family walked past, and I was like, morning, and they just looked the other way, like really obviously. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is wrong with those people? And my friend Michael said, oh, they won't speak to you because you're with us. And I went, what? What do you mean? And he said, well, because we're gay. And they don't want anything to do with us. And they don't want anything to do with you. You're guilty by association. And I was completely mind blown. Like, I did know that people behave like this, but I'd never experienced it. I was just mind blown that someone wouldn't speak to you at breakfast because your friends were homosexuals. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But isn't that interesting? So that's just where all those beliefs come from, right? And we have all these beliefs about that person's this or this person's that, or it's terrible. I think it's appalling. And one of my kids was telling me that when they are with like their Polynesian friends, shopkeepers keep an eye on them as if they're going to steal, but when they're with their white friends, that doesn't happen. I'm like, wow, isn't that unbelievable? So there's all these stereotypes that happen, and I think we're all guilty of it. So I certainly was. I was very ungracious to this woman, and luckily I turned around. But it's like, what are your judgments? You know, we have these biases and unconscious biases that we're not even aware of, right? Where you go, oh, well, you know, and then so at the conference, someone said, oh, can we take a photo? And they said, oh, we need someone to take the photo. And they said, oh, we could get him. And I went, oh, don't get an old person to take a photo. And I was like, fuck, there I am again. He might be the best photographer in Auckland, right? But I went, oh, no, old person. Well, fuck it up. Or cut your head off or take a terrible photo. You know, I was saying, get a young person. See, another one. They're judgments. They're everywhere. So there you go, stereotypes and judgments. Have a think about that. What's yours? What are the things that you judge people on? Do you judge people because they're too young or they're too old? Or, you know, do you judge them on their physicality or their nationality? There's so many things, isn't there? But I think it's worth having a wee think about that. It's also worth having a conversation about what are your biases? Like, what are the things that you go, oh my God, I don't trust people like that, or I don't, you know, it's like, oh, and where does that come from? It's all stuff we learnt, right, that maybe isn't helpful. So there you go. So I'm off to China, very excited, and I'm going to be very patient and lovely with all the people because I'm in their country and I can't speak a fucking word of Mandarin. So that's a really good reason for me to be very patient and tolerant. So it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Happy shopping to me.